Hello there, welcome back to Thriving Generation with Dr. G. It's another exciting day and a good day for us to thrive. If this is your first time joining us, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're excited to have you here. You are here at a good time because we are talking about financial wellness. This is a series we've started already. If you've not seen our first video, please go back and watch that. If not, still enjoy this one. It's as important as every video we've uploaded so far. Please, let's go ahead and meet our guest for today. Just say, please, you have to introduce yourself again.
I do know. I think you all know me now. I'm
Yes,
Joseph
if you
Armah.
don't know him, then you have to go and see how awesome he is. But please go ahead and introduce yourself to the thriving generation.
Well, I'm Joseph Armah, a father, husband, friend, lifelong learner, and a wealth management advisor.
Thank you so much for that. This very video, we are talking about financial independence. How can we break free from the burden of working, and not having enough to show for what we are doing? Please help us out here. What can we do as the working class? And maybe you have to help us as to who the working class is, but how do we become financially independent?
Wow, that is a big question. I don't think I have all the answers for you, but I'm going to be trying my best to answer as much as I can and to provide guidance.
Okay.
The working class as a group, I think the definition varies across different continents and also obviously different countries. I
Mm,
think, broadly speaking, when we're talking about the working class, we are talking about folks who are working and receiving income.
mm,
Obviously, you can be working for yourself and own a company, but I think those who are currently still in the working force and they haven't retired and they are trying to put together strategies to be able to save for retirement and also to
mm.
be able to live a comfortable life
I
and make
see.
decisions as to when and how they choose to work.
I see. I see. So help us then. How do we become financially independent?
I think the first thing that you have to do is to really go through your values and your goals. I say values first because I think that's what is going to really drive your goals.
Mm,
And you have to set clear goals as to what you want to achieve. So, for example, there could be a professor who earns a lot of money but is mostly interested in teaching. So, the independence is not necessarily about money, it's about
mhm.
doing what he loves, which is teaching.
Okay.
So, but he needs to make sure that he can, have, pay his mortgage if he still has a mortgage, feed his kids if he still has kids to feed, or do whatever it is. But at the end of the day, it's really about doing what you want to do and what you love to do. So I
Mm,
think the first thing is you need to set clear goals.
yeah, girl.
Once you set your clear goals, then those goals are going to push you into taking certain actions. So I'll start with setting the goals. Once you take the actions, once you set the goals, then
Yeah.
you can now start, okay, thinking about how those goals are
Hmm.
going to help you. And I would venture to say that you also have to think about, the stage in life that you are in.
Okay.
So we're thinking about, the first stage being, when you're accumulating wealth, often the years before 45 years, you are accumulating wealth.
Mm-hmm.
You have a high risk appetite. You can
Mm,
take a lot of risk. You can change jobs. You are thinking about different things in your life. You might not have a lot of investments in place, but at least you have the earning potential. You can earn a
yeah.
lot of money. And your
Yeah.
second phase is, between 45 and maybe 60, hypothetically. You are trying to conserve what you've already either gained or made, or at least you are slowing down a little bit. You're becoming more conservative and trying to protect what
Okay.
you've actually acquired. Then the last stage, which is basically you're thinking about your legacy, which is for most people 60 and above. Now you're thinking about, what is this legacy that I'm going to be leaving behind? How would
Mm,
people remember me? So when you're walking through that continuum, there are things that you have to do in order to
mm,
achieve independence in each of that continuum. And
I
so it's
see.
not just making money and working
Yeah.
24 hours a day. It's about thinking about your goals, your priorities, and where you are in that continuum, and so that you can make the right decisions for yourself and your family.
That is so good because we all want to make money. We all want to do well for ourselves and for our families, but not many times do we sit down to actually think about it. How much is enough for me? What am I doing this for? So you keep going and going and going, and it seems like you have nothing. But if you don't have a goal, financial goal, you don't know what you are doing actually. And there will be no satisfaction anywhere. So how do we set financial goals? Is there a particular way of doing this, or it's just about sitting down and knowing what you want?
Wow, that is such a good question again. You have really a lot of good questions, and I'm so excited about that. Thank you so much for your beautiful questions and thought-provoking questions, I should say. I think the first thing really is, you have to sort of think about your short-term goals, medium-term goals, and then long-term goals.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're able to bucket those goals, then you have to figure out how do you achieve those goals. So for
Mm,
example, you might want to spend your retirement years in a country that maybe you were born in. So that's a long-term goal, right? So the question is, how do you plan around those long-term goals? So there are different things that you can do to plan around that. You might think about going to school. So that is probably a short term or intermediate term goals. Then I think about how do I achieve that? And then the short term goal could be, I want to buy a car. So how do I achieve that? So
yeah.
all these goals, what is interesting about them is that they also do have a financial component.
Mm,
And so that financial component is going to drive you to make certain types of decisions. So you
mm,
obviously have to start with your a budget. We call it a budget, right? It's like,
mm,
let me look at my budget. How much money am I making and how much am I spending? Once you have a good handle of your money in terms of your inflows and outflows, then you can now start figuring out how those monies that you are making or your cash flow is going to be addressing the goals that you are about to set or you have set.
I see. I see. Wow. Wow. So breaking it down is more about what do you need now and what do you need in the future and how are you going to get them. So you write them down, then you write down how much money is coming in. How much do we make every month? Oh, so once you see that, then you know how much you need to get
Yes.
what you've written down. So if you are saying you're going to buy a Benz and you see your income and it's nowhere near buying a Benz, consider a Toyota. It will help you a lot. But anyway, just kidding. If you want a house, you don't just sit down and keep wishing for a house. You have to see how much money you have and how you can plan towards investing into a house in the future, right? So, what are some of the opportunities for us in terms of? I am an African and going back home, I don't think I ever thought about financial wellness, financial well being, financial independence. I talked about money. We need money, and family needs money. But in terms of opportunities to grow money, make more money, I didn't really, because I'm not in a business school, so I thought it wasn't my thing, right? But now we know that we can all learn. It doesn't have to be a degree to know, right? So, what are some of the opportunities out there for all of us? Okay, how to grow our money to do better as the working class.
Wow. Um, it's so interesting that you brought up the whole idea of growing up in Ghana and talking about wealth. I think, most of us when we were in Ghana knew wealthy people.
We
And the
did.
wealthy people that we knew, what I mean by knowing them is not personally knowing them, but knowing who they potentially are. And the way we judge people was, you know, basically based on the assets that you either know they have or you've been
Mm,
told they have,
mm-hmm.
right? Especially when we go to occasions such as outdooring and parties, and there is some sort of contribution. We hear about them because they come in and then they donate huge sums of money, and so people
Yes,
would just, by mere fact of that, like, oh, okay, this guy is a rich guy because he donated a lot of money.
yes,
Or maybe you know that he owns or she owns a lot of houses that he rents out or she rents out, or maybe she has a business that he does buy and selling, or maybe he has a factory or something. So we all know that at the end of the day, we attribute wealth to assets that people own. Okay,
mm-hmm.
so you know that by way of the assets that they own, you can either say they are either rich or poor or whatever. And for the most part, for most of us, it was, having a house or having a couple of houses, having a plot of land or whatever. So the point is, wealth really. I like to more focus more on net worth, which
Mm,
is having all your assets, whether you borrowed to pay for them, or you actually paid for them through your own and cash flow.
mm-hmm.
It's like you have those assets. Then how you
Yeah.
purchase them would be what I call, your liabilities. So, to come to your wealth, you take your assets minus your liabilities to be your net worth. That
Yes.
is the most significant thing, is how much do you actually own, which is like your net worth, right? So all the stuff that you have to do is basically figure out those assets that you can generate the type of income that will help you to make sure that your net worth grows over time. So for some people, it could be that they buy a lot of real estate and
Mm,
they finance them either by borrowing money or money from their own other businesses so they can have real estate. For others, it could be that they invest in the stock market, which is another option. For others, it could be that they open their own businesses. For others, it could be that they are working with an organization that takes care of every single thing. So that net worth is growing because they are able to use that cash flow to buy more assets and then grow it. So at the end of the day, there are instruments or products out there that would help you grow your worth
mm-hmm.
and your wealth. But at the end of the day, those things are just enablers to help you get to where you want to be. But I think what is important is that mindset. You gotta know what your mindset is. What I my mindset is gonna drive what type of assets I own, how I purchase them or finance them, and then my net worth grows. So
Mm,
again, based on that continuum we talked about earlier on where you are, the risks that you can take would be different. So for a
okay.
younger person, they might decide that, hey, I have 50 years to work, so I can borrow some money, so I can do a few things, buy some assets, and then let those assets grow over time. I pay for them over time to grow my
Mm-hmm.
net worth. So those are some of the things that you have to think about. But there are a lot of products out there. Unfortunately, in Ghana we don't have as many developed markets that we
Mm,
can actually engage in. But in over here, we can look at the different markets that are out there. The stock market is, the bond market. Some people will talk about crypto, some people will talk about different things, the different assets classes that you can
mm-hmm.
focus on to grow your wealth.
Yeah. In Ghana, I mean, things are changing now. So my recommendation would be is to ask around and not just anybody because there are frosters out there. So how about you walk into a bank and talk to a financial advisor
Mhm.
about the opportunities out there? You are not necessarily going to invest right away, but to learn more about opportunities available to you. And I think it's the same for anyone listening, wherever you are. We are all in unique situations and our environments will influence the opportunities we get. So, oh, what do you say, Mr. Armah?
I totally agree with you. I think
Okay.
knowledge is key. I really truly believe in lifelong learning, and I think the more you learn, the more you talk to other people,
Yeah.
the more you're gonna make better decisions.
Yeah. 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 So we wish everybody well, right? We want everybody to do well. So go out there and seek opportunities to be financially independent. Is that good? Do you have any final words or advice for us before we let you go for today?
I would say think about your goals, write them down, and once you write them down, have a budget in place, and then match your goals with the budget that you've created in order to take action. And
Mm.
then take action now.
Take action now. Amazing. Thank you so, so much for that. Please take action now. If you have questions for Joseph Farmer, please leave them in the comments below. You can also reach out to him directly through the links I've provided below. He's on LinkedIn and he also has his own practice. So you can definitely reach out for your personal financial advice. But what did you learn from this conversation? Please leave that as well. We'll be happy to come back and check on it. Till we see you in the next video, get out there and keep thriving. Bye.
Bye.